We are back with whatever number of episode we're on of the Reborn and Redeemed podcast. Today, well, we got Nathaniel here in the back, but today it's just gonna be me flying solo. Jordan's off celebrating her birthday, so we wish Jordan a happy birthday and a good celebration. But today it's just me, and then we got Nathaniel in the back. Maybe we should have given you a microphone today. Maybe we could have had you be up front and center if you wanted that. We could do that. I mean, if you wanted to pull it up, you could take it off the stand if you want. If you just wanted to hold it, you can plug it in. All right. Or if you want to come up and attach it, you could be co-host for the day. I didn't even think about this. Or you just want to hold it in the back. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go for it, dude. Okay. All right, I'll get you a cord. You could be like that guy who's like, you'd be like Jamie in you're Jamie for like in a Joe Rogan's videos. Because I don't think I've ever seen him. I've only ever heard him in the background of Joe Rogan's videos. He's just mysterious. I've never seen what Jamie actually looks like. I've just heard his voice in the background of Joe's videos. All right, let's hear it.
What's up, guys?
Jamie, could you pull this up, please? Jamie? What's that one story of like the guy and the bear thing? Jamie, what was that story?
Massive grizzly bear.
What was that, Jamie? What was that one story with the man fighting off that grizzly bear? Yeah. What day was that from? Oh, I got you. Can you pull that up for us real quick? Wow.
I love how they talk about some random thing and Joe Rogan has to bring up the grizzly bears.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, genocide is bad, whatever.
But have you seen what a grizzly bear can do?
He's like, yeah, but I've seen this video of a grizzly bear fighting a baby chimpanzee.
It's like, yeah, dude. He's always just like going. That is probably one of the most talked about subjects on. It's like, yeah, dude, those things are crazy. That thing will rip your face off, dude. Yeah, you didn't know.
Yo, like, eat you alive and stuff.
Yeah. Like the black bear, the black bear is one by the grizzly bear. Dude, that thing's an animal.
Who describes it like it's evil?
I mean, a grizzly kind of is. I mean, I wouldn't say they're evil, but they're pretty crazy. I mean, I would much rather mess around with a black bear because like there's like, you ever see that one video that like it's like before like the AI videos. Mm-hmm. So this was actually real. Do you ever see the one video of, like it was just like a black bear at a picnic table having lunch with his family? Do you ever see that video?
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. Jamie, could you pull that up for us real quick? Oh yeah. No, that was funny. All right. So kind of go into today's topic. So we're kind of branching off into something new. So these past couple lessons that we've done, they've had the sharing theme of like looking at things from a different perspective, whether that be things going on in your life, whether that be in the ways that people act, how you perceive certain things, certain scenarios that happen in your life, like looking at things and seeing that it happened for a reason, or seeing behind a person and how they truly are, actually seeing them for how God made them. So it's kind of, these past couple weeks, it's kind of been looking at things from different perspectives. So now we're kind of I would say this is kind of going to be like an introductory thing, because we're going to do a couple lessons that share this theme, but it's kind of putting that into action. So kind of putting faith into action, kind of like these things that happen in our day-to-day lives. We realize these things going on. Now, how can we interact with it in those scenarios, and how can we, so just going to be in varying scenarios. But start us off with a little bit of scripture and kind of go through a few verses. I have them on here. too, so I'm not going to worry about flipping through like crazy. So we have 2 verses from James, both from chapter 2. In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by actions, it is dead. That's James 2:17, and James 2:26. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so is faith without works is dead also. So there's like, actually, it's really a Catholic argument that's saying like you can't have faith without works, but like it really is kind of the opposite, that like faith produces works. But in the sense of this is saying how like, yeah, sure, like you may have faith in these things. Like you have faith that God can do these things. Faith that like God created this person, even though they may be doing wrong now. He has a plan for them, saying like, I created this person for this purpose. Now someone needs to come along and plant that seed, so my plan may be fulfilled in that person. Now it may be that you may not be the one to fully plant that seed and let it grow. God may have another plan for them, but kind of going on the lines of when you see that person in need or that person who is struggling, they don't know God yet, or maybe it's just like having faith or like just doing good works in general. If you have faith, like, oh yeah, someone's gonna come along and help that person out. Well, then why don't you put in that effort? Like, you may not be the one to completely plant that seed. You may plant that seed, but you may not be the one who waters it. They may completely ignore or dismiss you and what you say. But further down the line, someone could come and water that seed and help it grow. Someone could come and tend to it. And then finally gets to the point where you can harvest the fruits and they've become reborn. But if you have faith that these things are going to happen, but you do nothing to help impact a person, then yeah, your faith is kind of dead in that sense. Like you have faith, but you're not acting on it. In the same way of like how we talked about last week of like God having impacts in our lives and realizing like, okay, I have faith that God's going to get me through this. Or I have faith that like, hey, this battle is tough. I'm not going to give into whatever, or can make it through this battle because God gives me the strength. But like, if you think that, but in the sense of that you don't truly believe and you don't reach out to God in prayer and ask him to help you, it's kind of like you say that you believe it, but do you actually? So it's not even like a physically acting out on it, but it's like physically believing it. Like we went over a couple of weeks ago saying like, yeah, you know, God loves you. Like, yeah, you always hear that tossed around. Like, yeah, I know that. But do you actually know that God loves you? So it's kind of like acting on faith physically, and then also mentally and spiritually. So let's go on to a couple of the verses and go over a few other things. This comes from 1 John chapter 3, verse 18. Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and truth. That kind of translates back to what I was just talking about. Matthew 5, verse 16. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify you for your Father which is in heaven. So this kind of brings up a point on like, I didn't bring this up just now, but kind of like you talk and like we say in church and we listen on how we should be living our lives. And yes, it may not be perfect. We may not be down to the letter, but Richard actually had a good thing about it this morning, talking about like having zeal for the Lord and knowing that like coming to God and bringing him to your table and being like, hey, today wasn't the best. I didn't do things that I shouldn't have done. And like God like knows that like, hey, you are forgiven. Now go out and sin no more. But it's kind of goes along the lines of like living out your daily lives with these values. So saying how like let your good works glorify the Father in heaven who kind of created you and who has put this purpose now into your life, because people will notice. Like, especially like I've seen people who have like changed and like the whole demeanor has kind of changed. They act like a different person and like people will notice. And like I remember like when I kind of started having my conversion, I know when I was at work, some people started to notice. They noticed that something was different. Actually kind of goes all the way back to one of our first YouTube Rumble videos on the story of Phil Robertson, on his story of when he made his decision to be baptized and follow Christ. His friends came back up to him and like, hey, let's go out, get up to the same old that we used to. He's like, the guy who you're looking for is dead. He died. This is someone completely new you're talking to. So it's kind of going along that lines of like living out your life as Christ intended. Even without you knowing, it's going to make someone scratch their head, and maybe they know that you have now found faith, and they're like, that really must be something. I wonder if that actually works. Or it may be the case scenario where they come up to you like, what's so different? Like, why have you changed? And then that's for the point of how you can start having an impact on someone else's life, taking action in that scenario to help someone possibly come to a relationship with Christ. Let's go to another verse. Let's go to Colossians 3:17. And whatever you do, whether it in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. So this is the kind of thing of, I mean, we see some athletes do this now, and other people who will dedicate things to God. And yeah, maybe sometimes it is overplayed, but it is a very real thing about like God, like giving God the glory for your success. Not saying like, well, like if I say that like God did this for me, that means I'm going to get brownie points with the Lord, but actually truly meaning it. And like, there's plenty of stories out there. Like, I don't know why the first one that comes to mind is Ben Carson. Is the first one who comes to mind of really God getting him through the struggles and see where he is now. He went from being homeless and in his car to being one of the best brain surgeons in the country. And you look at Ben Carson when he was a kid, I think he threatened his mother with a knife at one point when he was a kid, if I'm correct on that. He really had I don't know his full conversion story, I only know bits and pieces of it. But he really did have like a 180 conversion. And he will admit that it was God who brought him this far. And you have many people like that. I mean, we go back again to Phil Robertson. He dedicates God to the success that he has in his company. I mean, shoot, gave his life to God, started a duck call company and a shed, and now it's one of the biggest hunting brands in the world. You see that with many people, sports players, athletes, soldiers who've gotten through some of the most horrific things ever, and they owe their survival to God. And truly, if you have, and this is like a sense of really putting your faith into action, you can hear these stories. You can hear these people's stories, and it can be inspiring to you, but do you truly believe it? Do you think that, do you actually believe that God can do that for you? And that's something that's entirely up to you. Like I said, you can hear these people's stories all day long. They're inspiring. You can watch movies that tell these stories. But do you truly believe it? Because if you truly believe this, because it is true, and like you truly believe it and you know it, and you have a close relationship with God, and you're constantly like, you're trying to be better, it's like, God, I need help. I need you to get me through. It's coming for him with a humble heart, knowing that like, hey, I can't do this on my own, but I know with your help, I need you to get me through this. It's like, I know I cannot do this on my own. You're the only one who can get me through it. Nobody else on this earth could help me but you right now. And it's kind of putting your faith in God, not just like saying like, okay, well, that means now that I said that you're going to do it all, that means I'm going to sit back, I'm just let this all unfold before me. No, that doesn't what it mean. You still got to put that into action. You got to put that effort in. But God will give you the strength to do whatever, whether it be something physically, mentally, something at work, give you the courage to do something new. I mean, it's really endless on what God can do and how he can help you in your life.
Yeah. I would recommend that people take those stories of where someone has almost died and then God had saved them and believe in those stories, because if you don't, either that's going to happen to you and you're either going to die or you're not. And if you don't believe in God when you die, well, you're not going to get to heaven.
Yeah.
But if you do, then you hopefully will believe. If you do survive, hopefully you will believe in God.
Yeah.
After that, and be saved.
Yeah. Speaking about survival, did you ever hear about some of the stories that were told about, you know who Desmond Doss is, right?
Yeah.
Hacksaw Ridge? Yeah. Did you ever hear that this wasn't in the movie? At least I don't think it was ever in the movie. Would you ever hear some of the stories of some of the Japanese soldiers that the American troops told? That one, of course, if you, for those who don't know, Desmond Doss, he is a World War II veteran. He was a conscientious objector and refused to carry a rifle or any weapon into battle. He went in to be a combat medic, and he never once laid his hand on a weapon, never once killed a man. But if you ever heard the stories about Japanese soldiers telling stories about the cow when they would try and shoot him, because I mean they were ruthless. They didn't care who it was as long as they were killing an American.
Their weapons would jam.
Even
the ones who didn't have their weapons jammed, they would say that they would fire on him again and again, and the bullets, nothing would hit him.
Yeah. So that true, and then and of course, if you've seen the movie or know anything about him, like Desmond Doss, I mean, like the whole reason why he did not want to take a life, he didn't believe that like killing was wrong, but his faith was that strong. It's like, I know God, because he was like, I know God created these people. Like, I don't want to take life. Like, I have no objection to these boys going out and killing and defending our freedoms, but I want to save life. I don't want to take it. And he had that high faith, and he had such faith in God that, like, God pulled him through where he saved, I don't know, how many was it that he saved? I can't remember the number.
Dozens, if not hundreds.
Let's see, how many, I can look this up.
And there's a story.
Jamie, how many people did this?
There's a story of young George Washington, which
I was just about to bring that up because I heard it was actually Ben Carson, funny enough, who was telling this story. Yeah. But yeah, go on.
I'll tell it, and you look it up. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking up Desmond Doss. But you go and tell the story about George Washington, because I was going to bring that up. So I'm glad you brought it up.
When he was younger, he was, I believe, 23 or something like that. He was in the French and Indian War, and he was riding on his horse, and the enemy was firing at him, and he had a ton of bullets in his coat. I mean, it was like 20-some bullets, something like that. Maybe even more than that. Maybe it was less.
It was something around that, yeah.
Yeah, but a great number of them.
Yeah.
In his jacket, and none of them hit him, and certainly didn't kill him.
Yeah.
And I believe that he was spared by God so that he could help build a nation.
Did you ever hear the story about at one point, the chief of that tribe, because the chief of that tribe was there at the battle, and he saw George getting hit by bullets and nothing happened to him. And on chiefs, at one point, it's funny enough, when the chief was kind of on his last days, he met George Washington. He's like, he demanded, like, I need to meet that man. And he, like, admitted to him, like, you were, like, protected by God. Like, there was the spirit above protecting you. And it almost makes you think, because that chief definitely was not a Christian. But it kind of makes you think, was that like a thief on the cross moment, though? Yeah. Or, like, he's like, I don't fully know what this God is, but, like, I know, like, someone saved you. So I wonder if that could have been possible. That'd be an interesting moment. I don't think there really isn't much written on that. I've only heard that story from word of mouth. It was Ben Carson who told that story. Maybe we'll have to talk about that. No, and then on Desmond Doss, he saved an estimate 75 soldiers on Hacksaw Ridge. And so, I mean, yeah, that's brutal. If you haven't seen the movie Hacksaw Ridge, definitely go watch it. It is a great movie. Great movie.
Yeah.
Funny enough, thinking of other war stories is there was a movie and a book. I read the book, and I also seen the movie of Louis Zamperini.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the name of the book and movies both Unbroken, but he's ran the Olympics and then was on a B-20 or a B-17 bomber, was he?
B-25, I think.
B-25. One of the B-series bombers during World War II, but eventually they crashed, were picked up by Japanese, and he was at a POW camp for the rest of the war. It's a really great story of faith that he had for his story on survival during that. But yeah. No, but it's like, and it is great to really see these stories of faith, and there's hundreds, not of thousands, of these stories around. And definitely take them in as inspiration and like in testimonies in their own right, and come to the realization, like, if God could get them through this, why shouldn't I not have faith and be putting into action that, like, I know that God can get me through this. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of on a low there. Do you have any other points or anything? Any other things that you've thought of?
If I can go back to the first thing you were talking about, the first verse.
Like putting action, like either that'd be like approaching people, like helping people in their faith, or what, or what That'd be the two from James, and the same James 2:17. In the same way, faith by itself is not accompanied by action; it is dead. Then James 2:26.
Yes,
For
that.
as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also.
Yeah, the first one you said about faith and action.
Okay.
Um, in the movie Kingdom of Heaven, there's one character who says that holiness is in right action and courage in defending the helpless. And more so, defending the helpless is, obviously in the sense of a war, defending civilians, but also...
Or in a daily situation, protecting the
Situation, too.
innocents.
Yeah, and so many people, we take it for granted that people, because so many Christians were raised in the church, we take it for granted that people know the story of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But many do not. Many people, they think Jesus Christ, he's like a guy that lived really long ago, and like some people believe in him, but they know nothing really about him. And
Yeah.
so it's our job to, whenever we can, educate people and or spread the word.
Someone brought up a very similar story about because like you said, like we really do take it for granted that we do know the story of Jesus, and like the fact of like how many people don't truly know the story of Jesus. Like they may know like, yeah, he died on the cross for some reason. I don't know why, or I don't really know his teachings. I just know he's just someone that's in the church, and maybe I saw him in media or something like that. Someone talking about him, but it kind of goes to a testament. It was Tim Pool. He has that other show. It's like Culture Crisis is what it's called. He's like there's the Tim Pool show, and then there's like another version where they'll kind of like bring in people with opposing points of view, or just they may just be like interesting ones. But actually, I don't think Tim Pool was even there for this interview. It was some of the other guys who are usually on the show that are kind of conducting the interview. But they had on a former animator from Disney, and of course he started his own company now. And I think they just put down an animated film not too long ago. I think it should be coming out on video soon, I think. But he was telling the story, and actually it wasn't even to his movie, because there was like two like have you seen like the ads? I mean, not lately, but if you remember a while back, there was kind of like two animated Christian films coming out. One was King of Kings, and then there was another one that the guy in the interview made, but I can't remember the name of it.
I keep seeing clips of them.
Yeah, there's one that's kind of like the 3D animation. That's not his. He's the one who has that one film was like the 2D animation. That's the film that he had. But the guy who's at Disney, he was there for a really long time. It was actually a really great interview because he's talking about like how, like Disney's downfall and like kind of like, I don't know. I can't remember everything verbatim from that interview, but it was I'm not going to go over everything, but it was a really good interview. Maybe I'll have to find it and I'll send it over to you. But he talks about like a story that he had heard from somebody seeing one of these new recent animated Jesus movies. It was the King of Kings version. And it was like this father and their wife. They weren't Christians. I know his wife was Jewish. She wasn't practicing Jew, but I think, of course, she grew up in a Jewish household. They're probably Orthodox growing up, but I think she kind of was not practicing as she got older. I don't think the husband was Jewish. I think the husband may have been in the church, may not. I'm not sure. But they just took their kids to see the movie because, like, well, we want our, like, we don't really, we're not sure if we believe, but we want our kids. And that's what a lot of, actually, surprisingly, a huge number of families now are kind of like getting their kids introduced to the church. Even though their parents aren't believers, they want their kids to grow up in that atmosphere and with those kind of people. But long story short, they took their kids to that movie, and her being a Jewish woman, she had like known a little bit about Jesus. She heard the name tossed around, but she didn't know the story. And first off, the kids apparently really love the movie, and they love watching that movie, which is great for the kids. But the wife of the man, she has now become baptized and became a Christian because she didn't know the story of Jesus, and she started doing more research and reading the Bible, and she had a full-blown conversion. Just because she didn't know the story of Jesus. And there's plenty of these that are happening right now, especially with media, like with like The Chosen. The Chosen TV series has done a great job on spreading the message, and people finding out there were different mediums. Like who did not know the story of Jesus, who are now coming to know it through different perspectives and whatnot, different media, either hearing it through people, media, so on and so forth, social media. But you're right. And we could have a bigger impact. And there's a lot of people who are making a huge impact out there. We're planting those seeds. And, we are privileged to know the story of Jesus, and we take it for granted that we do know it. And, there isn't a lot of people who know. But, plenty of stories, actually, about, I'm sure you probably heard them, too, about some of the stories about, Muslims. They don't know anything about the Bible, but they'll have, a dream one night where they'll see Jesus and, boom, like that. They'll become a believer. It is truly crazy how that is. But that's a topic for another time. Really interesting one, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's... I don't really have a whole lot, because this is kind of like I said before, this is kind of like an introductory kind of thing. We'll go deeper into these topics as we go on. We'll do a couple lessons on this, and then go on to the next thing. But kind of the next phase of lessons we'll do is kind of putting actions into work, and putting these, how we're looking at perspectives, putting these perspectives, things that we notice, things see, realize, how do we put all these things into actions, and either physically put into action or bring it into action and spiritually and mentally into our daily lives. But Nathaniel, you have any other final thoughts? You've been bringing up some good ones today too. I gotta let you run one of these one day.
I'm just good at remembering quotes.
Yeah.
I know.
So I don't really have much else. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. No. Any other side topics? Interesting things?
No. I don't know. I think faith in God is important. I think that if you don't believe in something, then you're less human. Not in a sense of you should be executed if you don't.
Yeah.
But the full human experience is believing in something absolutely, and more than you believe in your own life.
Yeah.
The man who believes in something that's absolutely true is worth 10 men.
Yeah, because they'll have drive in their life. They have a purpose in life. Mm-hmm. You go across your life not believing anything, thinking that, it's just by chance that a particle exploded, created the universe, and a monkey lost all of his hair and began to talk, and that's really the only reason why I'm here. I'm just here per chance. I'm just floating through, and when I die, I'm just going to go into the ground and go to sleep and not remember anything. So, what's the point? Mm-hmm. And people who don't have anything to believe in, there is no purpose.
It breeds mediocrity.
Yeah.
It's just, you have to have faith in God that your life is going to somewhere else. You die. Because you can't be afraid of death.
At the end of the day, it's really, truly something to live for.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing is, of course, living for God, so one day you may rejoin him in the kingdom of heaven, but also with these commandments that he's given us, and also living out the lives that he's commanded us to live here. Not just, of course, the most important, like I said, the most important thing is seeing him in heaven one day and having eternal life with him, but also living out the things he set out here, whether that be being a father, getting married, having kids, bringing that forward, teaching them the values that you've learned so that they can be better than you, and they can have even a greater faith than you, so that they may know God and continue that cycle, or whether it be in sacrifice or spreading the word. There's so many great things that we are able to do that God has given us charge to do in this life. Yeah. And I think that might be a good way to close it right there. I gotta give it another. But unless you have any other final thoughts, so probably close it out. All right. Well, that just about wraps it up for today. But we'll be back here next week. We'll continue to these topics of putting these ideas into practice, but we'll go over it more. But remember to follow, remember to follow, share, subscribe on Rumble, especially. You can do it on YouTube too, but Actually, apparently there's some stuff that's going on with YouTube too. Apparently, like their ad revenue is really crashing, and some creators are getting really pissed off.
That's weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. There's something going on with YouTube right now.
Yeah.
But that's why you should go to Rumble, because they're actually good on their word, and they don't ban you for opposing opinions or offending someone. How dare you? How dare you say something that someone doesn't agree with? But yeah, please support us on Rumble. Most of all, I think it's still actually over YouTube in the App Store and downloads. Rumble, over like the past couple months, Rumble has had more downloads than YouTube.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So yeah, be a part of this new movement. Free speech is allowed. And go support other creators over there. There's a whole lot more that are going over there and more that's continue to go. So go over there. It's great. And yeah, we'll see you next week. We'll talk about this more. And God bless. Continue having faith.